There has never been a fire. I got a steel guitar because I've always loved the sound of it, and because it makes me think of a voice. When Vince Gill quickly disappeared from the stage, it shook the country music world to its core. Fans were left worried and confused. His sudden silence made people all over the world feel scared and sad because he was known for his emotional songs and friendly personality. His death broke my heart, but his life gave me hope. What happened to this famous person? Now let's talk about the sad events that made Vince Gill's friends cry. The lack of CMA awards. They love Vince Gill for more than just his singing. They love him for who he is. His music is warm and honest, like talking to an old friend. He is the kind of singer who can make everyone feel like the song was written just for them, whether it's about love, faith, or broken hearts. People were worried when he didn't show up at the 2018 CMA Awards because of this. That year, Vince was going to pay respect to Ricky Skaggs, which a lot of fans were looking forward to. The two men were very close through music. For many, seeing them on the same stage was the best part of the night. Fans were confused when the show started and Vince wasn't there. There were whispers of worry right away. Soon, word got out that Vince had been taken to the hospital. He just suddenly got a kidney stone, which is a very painful and severe disease. Most people who've had one say it's one of the worst pains they've ever felt. To someone like Vince, who always shows up, it was clear that he couldn't get through this. He had to call off the meeting. Time could not have been worse. Vince had to cancel his shows in Birmingham and St. Louis, as well as miss the CMA Awards. There were already plans for fans to travel and buy tickets for the events on November 15th and 16th, which were very sad. They didn't get angry though. It was kindness. It's something Vince Gill has won over many years. Over the next few days, his daughter Jenny Gill spoke out to reassure friends. She told reporters in the area that he was in a lot of pain but is now feeling better. It was scary, but he's safe now. He doesn't like letting people down, but his health had to come first. During the interview, her voice shook a little. It was clear that this wasn't just a show that was missed. It was a moment that showed everyone that even mythical beings are real. Fans and country music stars started to post words of support. During a chat behind the scenes, Ricky Skaggs said some nice things. Nobody wants to sing with Vince right now because his health is more important. I feel like he's my brother. His desire to be here is clear, and I'm sure he'll come back stronger. For many fans, the news brought back memories. Someone on Facebook said, "I remember when my husband had a kidney stone. In the end, we went to the at 3 a.m. It was awful. I can't picture doing that and trying to perform at the same time." Someone else wrote, "Vince, look after yourself. We'll be here for you whenever you need us." I thought the most interesting thing about this time was how close Vince was to his viewers. It wasn't just music any longer. Care, dedication, and a shared sense of care were at the heart of it. Vince Gill felt close to people, even though famous people often feel far away. His disappearance changed more than just the artists on a show. Fans really felt the hole it made. Vince's team worked quietly behind the scenes to handle cancellations and new dates. Even though a lot of places were upset, they all said the same thing. His health was the most important thing. Not only did fans admire him, but everyone in the business did. Then he sang with the same soul and ease that made him famous. It wasn't a loud cheer from the crowd. They paid close attention, almost as if they didn't want to miss a beat. It wasn't just a show that they didn't do at the 2018 CMA Awards. Everyone was reminded of why Vince Gill is important. People have always liked Vince Gill's songs. He changed into something else in that quiet, painful summer of 2022. He turned into a sign of loyalty. Fans felt a deep void when he wasn't around, but the quiet was stronger than any song. It was about real love, real suffering, and real fear. Not only was it about the music when he finally came back to the stage, it was about getting better. There were a few more cheers. Because they knew what Vince and Amy had been through, they paid more attention. They were just glad to see him standing there, smiling again. Fans learned something important that summer. They even have heroes who bleed. Stories have to end every so often, but they do it with even more heart when they come back. That's why Vince Gill is more than just a singer, he's family. Let's talk about another important event in Vince's life. When his friends were moved and he was put to the test, it was clear why his journey is so important to so many. Scary things and tough choices. Vince Gill has always had a quiet power about him. His voice felt like home on stage. He was known for being kind, humble, and graceful when he wasn't on stage, but even the best people have times when they feel scared. Vince had one of those times in 2020. Fans had seen that something was off. It wasn't quite the same when he was on stage. He still gave the music his all, but there were signs, like breaks between songs and times when he took longer to catch his breath. A lot of people thought Vince was just getting older, but Vince was really carrying a much stronger truth. That year, Vince was told he had a heart defect from birth. He had been ignoring how it made him feel for years, but now he couldn't. They told him it wasn't something to be taken lightly. He had to slow down to make changes in his life and in his songs. Vince had spent most of his life on the road, in recording studios, or singing in front of big groups of people. It was hard to think about taking a step back. He loved music more than his job. It saved his life. You have to listen to your heart when it talks. A few shows were cancelled by him. Fans saw and were scared. Again, social media was busy, just like it had been when I had been gone before. Is Vince all right? Someone asked. Has he been with us through the hard times? Let's go through it with him. A few weeks later, Vince talked about it in a quiet way at a small show in Nashville. He said, "My heart isn't feeling right. We've known about it for a while and I was born with it, but it needs help now." The room went quiet. There is no music, only the truth. He said that the illness wasn't instantly life-threatening, but it was bad enough that he needed medical help and a change in how he did his job. He put his hand on his chest and said, "I want to be here for my wife, my daughters, and all of you too." Fans felt very close to the artist at that time. There is someone in every group who has a heart problem. Everybody has worried about someone they care about. Vince was here, being truthful about his. He didn't try to hide it. He didn't act like he couldn't lose. He showed the world the real him. After that, Amy Grant talked more in an interview. Making changes to his routine was just the start. Vince also paid more attention to his health. He stayed home longer. More often, he went to the doctor for care. He stopped going as fast from city to city, but he never lost his love for music. Someone who had been in the band for a long time said that he still came to practice with a smile on his face, even with all of this going on. He would say, "Today, let's make something beautiful." That's Vince. His fans looked up to him more than ever. He knew when to stop, not because he kept going. Making the choice to take care of his health and be with his family showed how strong he was. One fan said, "I'd rather have Vince healthy and at home than getting through a show just because I have to. He's given us music for decades. He needs to look after himself now." Vince eventually came back on stage. The way he sang was still honest, but there was something else in his voice now. Something soft and strong at the same time. Every word made you think of the trip. That's what makes Vince Gill unique. He sings about more than just life. He goes through all of its ups and downs. Being open is not the same thing as being weak. As he shows us, it takes guts. But the sad whispers that came after were what really scared fans. Millions of people were shocked when the terrible report that Vince Gill had died spread like wildfire. The last shot, Vince Gill died in peace at his Nashville, Tennessee home. Everyone in the music business was shocked and saddened by the news, which came like a great storm. Vince's voice had been a soothing one in country music for decades, telling stories of love, hope, loss, and strength. But in recent years, his health had been bad, even though he was always on stage and in people's hearts. Vince took his last breath surrounded by his family and friends. This marked the end of a life full of great victories and deep battles. Vince's path was never simple. He was born in a small town in Oklahoma and grew up in a family that had a lot of money problems every day. It was hard to get by financially, and goals often seemed very far away. But Vince found comfort in music from a very young age. It became his safe space, a world where he could talk about how he felt and get away from the bad things in life. He spent a lot of time playing the guitar, writing songs, and dreaming of a time when music would take him beyond his youth. The first few years he was a guitarist were hard for him. He worked hard to make a name for himself and played in many small clubs and bars. In bars, there were a lot of rejections and failures. The music business was rough and cold at times, but Vince was always determined. he slowly became known for more than just his amazing voice. People also started to like him for being kind and humble. He was liked by both fans and his peers because of these traits. Vince's fame started to grow quickly in the late 1980s and early 1990s. His songs from the heart and passionate voice won him awards and admiration. Hits like Still Believe in You and Go Rest High on That Mountain became songs for people who were grieving and getting better. Vince's music was honest, real, and easy to connect with. That was the main change. People didn't just hear his songs, they felt them. Things kept getting hard for Vince off stage though. Personal issues and health issues started to show up. In 2020, it was found that he was born with a heart problem, something he had been keeping to himself for years without letting it get in the way of his progress. He had to rethink his life and job after getting the news. He could no longer go on tours all the time or push his body to its limits. Vince learned a hard lesson, but he handled it well by putting his health and family first. In just 2 years, in 2022, his wife Amy Grant was seriously hurt in a bike accident. Vince cancelled shows and put his music on hold to help her get better. Amy got cut very badly and hurt her brain, and Vince was there for her the whole time. Fans saw a weaker side of Vince during this time. They saw the loving husband and father who put love above all else. Vince never lost his energy or his voice, even though things were hard. People were still moved by his songs. Many people felt better when they were with him. But his health quickly got worse in the beginning of 2025. At home in Nashville, with his family by his side, Vince died quietly. The world lost more than just a singer. He was also a friend, a teacher, and a source of strength for those who had followed his path. The response was quick and from the heart. Artists, fans, and music lovers all over the world sent honors. Brad Paisley said that Vince was a gentleman and a great artist whose songs would last forever. People who knew Reba McEntire said he was a kind and humble guy whose soul touched many lives. Fans told each other about how Vince's songs had helped them get through their worst times. One fan wrote, "His music made my life better. It's hard for me to picture a world without his voice." Through tears, Amy Grant talked about Vince's life and impact in an interview. She said in a soft voice, "Vince was always a fighter. He dealt with a lot of problems, some of which you may not have known about, but he never let those problems hold him back." Without words, his singing was how he connected with everyone and shared his heart. She said he was humble, really cared about others, and always put them before himself. "He was my rock and a light for a lot of other people." Jenny Gill, their daughter, said, "Dad taught me how to be kind and strong even when things are hard. Every day I will miss him. I know that his songs and all of us who loved him will keep his spirit alive." Vince Gill's story is about love, hope, and being strong. He showed everyone that the real test of strength is not never falling, but getting back up every time life hits you. Vince had a hard childhood, a career full of both praise and health problems, and he spent his last days with his family. He always lived his life honestly and with grace. His songs will always be remembered and will continue to heal and inspire people. People who found peace in his songs will always hear his voice, even though it is silent now. Fans got together to sing his songs and share memories at memorials and tributes all over the country. Special services were held at churches in Nashville to tell everyone that even though Vince's life was over, his legacy would live on. Let's find out what it was about Vince Gill that made his death so powerful that fans and fellow musicians shared such heartfelt songs in his honor. The moving honors. Vince Gill was famous for more than just country music. He had a heart that touched everyone he met. His songs were about love, loss, hope, and getting through hard times. After he died, everyone not only mourned the loss of a great artist, but also of a truly kind and honest person. Lots of sad messages from friends and other artists showed how much Vince meant to a lot of people. Vince made something very personal while he was a resident at Nashville's famous Ryman Auditorium, which won the hearts of everyone there. He introduced his daughter Karina Gill to the crowd and asked her to sing "When My Amy Prays," a song he had written for his wife, Amy Grant. The performance by Karina was even more moving because the words were changed in her version of the song. The song was a beautiful memory of how strong and united the family was when things got hard. especially during the hard years Amy was recovering from her serious bike accident. People in the crowd were quiet, and many of them were wiping tears from their eyes as Karina sang from the heart. There was more to this than just music. It showed how a man who always put his family first lived his daily life. The fact that Vince was on stage with his daughter showed everyone that love could shine through even when things were hard. Friends and fellow artists also shared their sadness and respect for Vince's death. Brad Paisley, a longtime friend and fellow country star, said in a moving statement that many people who knew Vince on and off the stage agreed with what Brad said. Reba McEntire, who is also a close friend and a star in country music, talked about Vince. Vince was one of the nicest guys I've ever gone out with. He never became too famous. Always willing to help or listen, he was there for you. His heart was stronger than his music. Reba's tribute to Vince told fans that his biggest strength was his honest spirit, which inspired both his fans and the people he worked with over the course of his career. In a moving chat, Vince's wife Amy Grant talked about their journey together. She was by his side through all of life's ups and downs. That come with being in the music business. Vince never lost his light though.